Bill and his wife Judy were a typical suburban couple in their mid-40s. They had two children, Mark and Bethany, who were both at university, leaving their parents empty nesters except for holidays and the prospect of the children returning home after university or any time they were short on money. Bill always thought Judy's best features were her long legs and toned ass. In her youth, she practiced gymnastics and dancing and had a classically elegant bearing. She seemed to gracefully float around the room with her shoulders naturally back and her chin raised. Her bright green eyes sparkled, complemented by her long blonde hair, which she usually wore in a ponytail, but with strands constantly falling out. Judy was full of energy and always on the move. Her activity and vitality amazed everyone around her. But not having children after caring for them for so many years left her somewhat confused. She was used to the constant busyness that comes with raising children, and now that they had grown up and left home, Judy felt empty and lonely. To fill her free time and find new sources of joy, she decided to return to what had always brought her pleasure: dancing and fitness. Judy enthusiastically began attending dance and fitness classes, which she had long abandoned due to household responsibilities. These classes helped her not only maintain physical fitness, but also find new friends and share her positivity and energy with them. Every day she felt more and more confident and satisfied. Judy discovered a world of new opportunities and interests that enriched her life. She began participating in various dance competitions and fitness competitions, where she achieved significant success and received many awards. This not only boosted her self-esteem, but also inspired other people, showing them that it is never too late to start something new and find their calling. Time spent on dance floors and fitness centers filled the emptiness she felt after her children left. Judy realized that every stage of life brings its own joys and opportunities, and that the most important thing is to find something that brings happiness and satisfaction, regardless of age or life circumstances. Things got even better with David moving into their neighborhood. David was a widower whose wife Val died of cancer, leaving him alone to raise two small children, Keith, 8, and Amy, 6. It was tragic to lose my wife and mother before I was 35. David seemed like a nice guy, and they were a great family who were settling into their new place quickly. Having children has been a great way to get to know your neighbors. Judy, ever caring, took the lead, offering to watch the children and help David cope with the constant struggle of work and family. Randomly helping with the children was a revelation for Judy. She was in her element caring for young children again and quickly became attached to them. Her mood improved and she felt much more positive. Bill was glad he helped too, taking Amy and Keith to various local sports clubs. It reminded him of happy times spent with his own children. They had no other living relatives, so Judy and Bill quickly became accepted as aunt and uncle. Judy was determined to help the children cope with the loss of their mother. She was amazed at how resilient they were. She offered more help, picking up the children from school and bringing them home to wait for David to finish work, essentially providing after-school care. In the end, David insisted on paying Judy for some of her time. She saved him a lot of money and was a constant, stable presence in their lives. Judy eventually agreed to appease him, but would happily do it for free. She was an excellent cook and began preparing dinners to make their lives easier. At times, she stayed to dine with them. Judy knew she had to be careful. David was an attractive man. He was attracting a lot of attention at neighborhood barbecues, and sooner or later there would be a new partner on the horizon, so she had to be careful not to confuse the children. Bill was surprised that Judy started having dinner with the family. He started to feel a little left out. All the attention was focused on David and the children. He urged Judy to be careful, reminding her that she was not their mother, but the return of a bubbly and happy Judy overcame most of his fears. At a neighbor's barbecue at their house, Bill began to feel uneasy for the first time. He hadn't seen Judy since the event began and watched with a glass of beer. Judy was constantly by David's side while she looked after the children, and they often smiled at each other. Anyone who didn't know them might think they were married. Moreover, David practically acted as host, serving drinks, food, and organizing everything. At that moment, his thoughts were interrupted by Judy's best friend, Christine, with whom he had been close since their children were little. For what you're planning. You look like you're a million miles away. Without thinking, Bill said what was on his mind. I wonder if I have any reason to worry. Judy is acting more like David's wife than mine. To Christine's credit, she did not reject his words and did not immediately defend her friend, but watched in silence for some time. I understand why you might be worried, but this is Judy we're talking about. She really is like a foster mother to these kids, and David comes with it. I'm sure she wouldn't even think of doing anything inappropriate. Bill reluctantly agreed, but he couldn't quite shake that feeling of unease. He knew that Christine would subtly inform Judy of their conversation, perhaps saying that she had noticed that Bill had remained aloof. This seemed like a better solution than any charges at the moment. Just as he decided to leave things as they were, he noticed something and decided to talk to David after all. Bill made sure to approach David on his next route to the beer cooler and asked for a minute. They retreated to a quiet corner of the garden. Bill got straight to the point. Do we have a problem? No, I don't think so. What do you mean? I mean how friendly you are with my wife. David looked concerned. Judy is a godsend. I owe her so much, and we spend a lot of time together. I think we've become close. Really? How close? We're just friends. I wouldn't want you to confuse this friendship with something more. Of course, I would never do that. Great. Then you will understand that the next time you touch my wife's ass, I will break your arm. David turned pale. I never touched her. Calling me a liar would be another mistake. I saw it with my own eyes, subtly enough to call it an accident, but you were touching and hugging her all evening. Do we understand each other? Yes, of course, but there's nothing special about it. It's absolutely innocent. We're just friends. With these words, David left. Soon an angry Judy approached Bill. What did you say to David? Bill took a deep breath. The same thing I'll tell you. I wanted to know why my wife ignores her husband, spends most of the evening with another man, and, when he touches her, lets him ... instead of giving a slap in the face. Judy's temper began to fade. You're being ridiculous. Yes? Are you denying it? We're just friends. I take care of his kids. Nothing else is going on. Why did you let him touch you? I didn't even notice. I'm sure it was an accident. For the first time in our entire married life, I don't believe you, Judy. You've been flirting, and it's obvious that you're attracted to him, and he's a good-looking guy. I'll tell you what I told him. This has to stop, or there's going to be trouble. Judy was furious, mostly at Bill's overreaction, but also at herself. She couldn't deny that she had spent the entire evening with David. Childcare justified some of the time, but not all of it. She enjoyed David's company and enjoyed the occasional touch, but knew it was overstepping her boundaries. Judy wanted to believe that she didn't react because it could have been an accident or she was overwhelmed. She really wanted to believe this. The alternative was unacceptable. On the surface, things seemed better for a while, but Bill felt that Judy was moving away from him. Almost all her conversations revolved around the children, although she was smart enough not to mention David often. But there was still tension. Bill couldn't figure out what was going on, but normal conversations were slowing down a little, as if Judy was filtering what she shared with Bill. Luckily, David had the good sense to avoid Bill like the plague. But Bill was irritated by the amount of time David spent with Judy. One evening, looking at her sleeping next to him, he thought that his role in her life was becoming less and less. 3 months passed, and over dinner Judy mentioned the possibility of traveling with David and the children. There was something about the way Judy mentioned it that made Bill uneasy. After numerous questions, Judy reluctantly explained. It's a week's holiday in France. David has to go to work for the weekend in Paris and then plans to holiday with the children in Brittany. He asked me to go with them and look after the children for the first few days while he works. Then he will be free and will be able to spend 5 days with the children. He is going to pay me for a week of childcare and cover all expenses. And you want to go? Yes, I want. so you want to spend a week playing happy family. It's just childcare to keep an eye on them. They haven't been on holiday since Val died, and they need a good rest. I understand that. I just don't see why it has to include you. It's inappropriate. They can go on a trip as a family anytime. It's impossible to find reliable child care. It's purely a business arrangement. Even you can't believe it, especially after I already talked to him. You look more like his wife than mine. That's not true. The children need me, and so David needs you too. Well, yes, I think he needs my support and help. And he gets your love too. What do you really want, Judy, to leave me and be with him? No, I don't want that at all. I just want to help them. And this help includes comforting him by sleeping with him. You bastard. Not everyone thinks like you. I think you don't think very highly of me. I do something good, and you try to make it dirty. I'm not sure if you're lying to yourself or just me. You're attracted to him. I guarantee that's exactly what he's thinking, and he gets a lot of encouragement from you. Would you accept it if I went with my girlfriend for a week and believe that nothing happened, even when I look unsure and something seems wrong? I would hope so, especially if there was a good reason, like helping someone in need. You know this is wrong. I'll say it clearly so there is no misunderstanding. I don't want you to go. I think this will be the end of us. Judy was in a dilemma. Was she lying to herself? If given the opportunity, would she want to have sex with David because she definitely had feelings for him? David was such a good father and did an amazing job, but he seemed so lonely. She admitted that Bill was right. She found his attention flattering, and he was so handsome. But she loved Bill more than anything. It was crazy to risk their relationship. Despite her fears, Judy convinced herself that she could walk the tightrope. As the trip approached, Judy and Bill became increasingly distant. Judy began to think that this was a mistake and she should give up. She loved Bill very much, but the children were excited to plan what they would do on vacation. Bill and Judy slept in the same bed, but barely touched each other, let alone kissed or made love. Even though they were only inches apart, they both felt alone, almost like they were saying goodbye. Their relationship, which was once full of passion and tenderness, gradually faded away. Instead of warmth and closeness, there was now a cold emptiness in their bed, which they both felt but could not fill. Every night, lying next to each other, they remembered those times when their hearts beat in unison, when every night was filled with conversations and laughter, when touches were gentle and desired. Now an invisible wall has arisen between them, separating their worlds and souls. Both felt that something had changed, but did not know how to fix it. They tried to avoid talking about their feelings, afraid of hurting each other even more. Sometimes Judy lay in the dark, listening to Bill's steady breathing and remembering how they first met, how they fell in love. She wondered where they had lost the connection they had, and if it could be restored. Bill, in turn, wondered what he could have done differently, how he could have avoided the coldness that now settled between them. They both hoped that things would change, that they could find their way back to each other. But every night, lying next to each other and feeling this insurmountable distance, they became more and more convinced that their loneliness had become an inevitable part of their life together. Their hearts screamed for help, but these cries were drowned in the silence that surrounded them. Bill sat on the couch, watching Judy struggle down the stairs with her suitcase. "Thanks for the help," she said sarcastically, breathless. Bill shrugged as she approached him for a goodbye kiss, Bill turning away before asking, "Do you still love me?" "Of course I do, you know that. And to demonstrate that love, you'll go on vacation with a young, attractive man you have feelings for, leaving me alone to wonder what's going on. It's a short trip, that's all, nothing to guess or worry about. I'll be back before you know it. There's food ready in the fridge and freezer. Don't forget to take care of yourself. I'll call every day, I promise." "Don't do this, you're putting him in front of us." "I'm not betting. I'm just helping all of them. Sorry, but I have to go." Bill wasn't sure whether the phrase referred to a lack of time or a broader need. She turned and pulled the suitcase out the door and left. Day 1. Judy called the first night, explaining how excited the kids were, but they were now asleep, tired. She repeated that David dropped them off and immediately left for his 2-day conference. She described in detail their journey and how wonderful the living conditions were. Bill could only manage a few monosyllabic answers. Judy filled the gaps and pretended everything was fine, finally ending the conversation with, "I love you." For the first time in their marriage, Bill did not reciprocate, muttering instead, "Goodbye, Judy." Judy hung up before she knew it, then it dawned on her what had happened and she started crying. Day 2 inches. "Bill, you know I love you, right? I think you're still in love." "Oh, Bill, that's us. We love each other like crazy." "Maybe, Judy, or maybe you love someone else. Or maybe love isn't enough." "I'm sorry I left. Please tell me you still love me." "Yes, I do." Bill sighed and hung up before Judy could even realize he was upset. Day 3. Judy told Bill that the children were delighted with their father's visit and spent all their time with him. She left them and he took them canoeing. Judy enjoyed a relaxing day by the pool. Bill began to think he was going too far when he heard Keith's voice. "Daddy's asking if you're ready for dinner." Bill replied, "You better go to dinner. I'm sure it will be wonderful, Judy." "Don't turn this into a fight, Bill." "Well, it looks to me like you're on vacation with another man. You don't have to babysit anymore now that he's here, but you choose to stay with him." "It's not like that, Bill." "But as." Judy hesitated, at a loss for words, and just as she was about to say something, she heard something. "Good night, Judy." And the call was interrupted. Day 4. On the 4th day of his vacation, Bill saw photos of David on social media. Most of them looked like family photos, including poolside photos, several of which showed David with his arm around Judy's waist. One of the comments under the photo particularly struck Bill. "Having a wonderful family holiday with the wonderful Judy looking after us." Judy called that evening without mentioning anything Bill had seen in the photographs. Finally, he couldn't stand it and interrupted her. "Before you continue this absurd farce, you should check David's social media." Judy immediately checked. "Damn, I'm sorry. I don't know what he was thinking." Bill interrupted her again. "So it bothers you that he posted them, but you're okay with him touching you. You should ask why he did it. I'm sure he'll say it was innocent, but he thereby continues to drive a wedge between us." Day 5. Judy called. David explained that it was a mistake. He didn't understand what it would look like. It was completely innocent. "Yes, of course it was. You seem to believe everything he says now. He's really sorry and deleted them right away, but, Bethany called me." "Bethany?" "Yes, she was upset. She asked what was going on, if I had left you, and if I was with David now." "And what did you tell her?" "I said it was ridiculous, of course. Then I explained that these were innocent pictures." "If you say so, Judy." "Listen, Bill, your jealousy is driving me crazy. It has to stop." "So it's my fault, fuck you. The fact that our daughter is now asking what's going on should let you know who needs to stop." Bill ended the call. It had become a habit. Each call only intensified his internal discord. On the 6th day, there was no call from Judy. Bill felt completely lost. He was coping with the work, but it was like a mechanical performance of duties. When he heard a knock on the door, he found Christine on the doorstep with a bag of groceries. She insisted on making him dinner and wanted to make sure he was okay. Bill couldn't understand why she had come, so in his usual straightforward manner, he asked her politely. "I called Judy after I saw these photos. To be honest, I was a little shocked and remembered our conversation at the barbecue." "Yes, did you manage to talk to her?" "I can't. It seems that it's my fault for being jealous." "Not really. She doesn't think she did anything wrong or that you're exaggerating. When I tried to look at it from your point of view, she seemed to understand, but she said it was all innocent." They, you know? She said no, but she admitted that she was confused about her feelings and didn't know what to do. She felt like she was losing you, but she constantly insisted that she loved you. They continued talking, but everything was spinning in circles. Bill thanked Christine for her concern and company. Sitting alone in thought was not healthy. Before Christine could leave, his daughter Bethany called. Bill tried to explain that he didn't quite understand what was going on with her mom, but they would figure it out, and she had nothing to worry about. Bethany knew he was hiding something, trying to protect her. "You and Mom will work things out, right, Dad?" Bill tried to sound more cheerful than he actually felt. "I'm sure everything will be fine, dear. Why don't you tell me what's new with you? It's always more interesting." Day 7 inches. "We can talk, like adults." "I guess you can. Speak up." "I'm sorry I didn't call yesterday. I'm completely confused, and I'm not used to fighting. I know I hurt your feelings and neglected you. I missed you, and I'm really worried that I ruined us." "You're really worried, but you never thought about coming home early when David was already there to take care of his children. I wasn't even a priority for you." "I know, and I'm sorry, but I'll be back tomorrow. I'm struggling with what's going on between us and here. It's very complicated. The kids are acting up." "Why are they being capricious?" "I'm not sure. Maybe they're confused. We've mixed childcare with vacations and being around them all the time. They might think I'm trying to replace their mom and feel bad about it. I'm upset. I really tried to take care of them, and I was wrong." Judy continued, "You were right. This vacation was a mistake. I love and miss you so much. I know we need to talk more and figure things out when I get back. I hope you'll give me a chance." "I'm not sure, Judy. I don't know what I feel about us now, other than a sense of abandonment and loss. I'm not sure who you are now." "I'm still the same and I still love you. I desperately want to see you tomorrow." "Well, I guess we can talk when you get back." After the call, Bill felt a little better, but he still couldn't shake the feeling of unease. Judy tried to hug and kiss Bill, but he turned away and kept her at a distance. She felt panicked by his rejection. They agreed to talk after she unpacked her suitcase. "Tell me about your trip." "You know almost everything. I took care of the kids for a couple of days, and then David came over after his conference. They did things together, and sometimes I would go with them. When they weren't busy, we spent the afternoons by the pool. I saw it looked very cozy, and I believe you also went out to dinner together." "You're making it worse than it is. It was just friendly, and David speaks French, so it was easier, and the kids insisted I go with them." "Okay, then, let's get to the point. Is there anything you want to tell me about you and David?" "No, I admit that I confused my feelings for the children with him. He flirted a little, but nothing happened." After a long pause, Bill continued, "I guess I'll never know the whole truth, but there's something in your behavior that suggests you're not being completely honest. You're hiding something." "I just told you. Nothing happened. You know, I was thinking about packing all your things in the car and putting them at his house." "Oh my God, why would you do that?" "I thought you would want to move in with him. You look so keen. You neglected me before you left. It was all about what you and he needed. You didn't even think about how I feel. It's not love and complete absence of respect." Judy's eyes widened. "I'm really sorry. I love you and respect you completely. I knew you were upset, but I didn't realize how upset you were. Please let me fix this. We can't ruin our marriage over one stupid trip." "No, but we can when there is no respect, there is no trust, and when the person you love most in the world puts other people before you." The conversations continued over the next few days. Judy apologized for neglecting Bill, especially at social events, admitting that she was ashamed of her actions when Christine pointed them out. Judy assumed that she was depressed and had happily embraced childcare as an outlet. She promised to focus more of her efforts on their relationship. Judy leaned forward and covered her face with her hands, only now realizing that their marriage was in grave danger. Not knowing what happened, Bill was torn apart. He was sure Judy wasn't being completely honest. Maybe there is one way to find out. He waited until the children were at their classes and knocked on David's door. When the door opened, Bill stepped forward and hit him. "I promised you this." "Damn, she told you," David muttered, sitting on the floor. Bill hid his brief hesitation. "Yeah, she told me, so what do you have to say in your defense?" "I think I deserve it. It was worth it to steal your wife. We are destined to be together. It's just a matter of time." "That's right. Well, that blow came because you were stalking her. Now I know you've succeeded. There's a world of pain in store for you. You'll never be safe. Keep looking over your shoulder because one night when I have my alibi all right, I'll come for you." Bill knew he had to go, and if he started hitting David, he wouldn't be able to stop. "He's lying. We're not having an affair." Judy screamed these words, tears streaming down her face. "Fuck off, Judy. I can see you're lying through your teeth. It only happened once." This confession hit Bill like a sledgehammer. He staggered back into his chair, hatred coursing through him as he looked at Judy. Judy fell on the table and cried. "It was on the holiday after we had a fight. The day I didn't call. I was so embarrassed, and he was so sweet and understanding. We talked over a couple of bottles of wine and ended up in bed together. You lying bitch, you looked me in the eyes and denied everything. I had to. I couldn't lose you over a stupid mistake. So that's all you wanted. He satisfied your needs in ways I couldn't." "God, no. Not at all. This is very far from the truth. I was pretty drunk, so I can't remember anything except an overwhelming feeling of guilt. It didn't last long." "Yes, no matter what you claim, Judy, who knows when you are lying or telling the truth now? I'm not even sure you know." Judy collected herself a little. "Believe it or not, it's true. It made me realize that what we have together is so special. I told him it was a mistake and it would never happen again. He wanted me to leave you for him, but that will never happen. I do not love him. Although I love children, I also ruined everything. They got angry when they saw me leaving his room in the morning." "Oh, so it was all night." "In bed, yes, but we only had sex once." "Go away, Judy. Just go away before I do something I regret." Judy went to her sister's when she moved out. She called Bill every day and begged him to come back. She was being sincere when she said that her relationship with David had brought her disappointment. Judy expected that new love could fill the void in her heart and bring long-awaited happiness. She hoped that their relationship would be as romantic and exciting as it was described in books and films. However, the reality turned out to be far from ideal. Judy discovered that her expectations of how things should be were very different from what she actually experienced. She felt uncomfortable and uneasy, like a teenager who was just beginning to understand what a real relationship was. Her romance with David was far from the harmony and intimacy that she had hoped for. As a result, instead of joy and satisfaction, she felt only disappointment and emptiness. Bill, despite all the difficulties, has always been a support for her. He knew how to approach her at different points in her life. Bill could be both caring and gentle, and persistent when necessary. He always tried to understand her mood and support her when she needed it most. The time spent with him seemed filled with warmth and understanding, which was so missing in her new relationship. Every day, talking to Bill on the phone, Judy became more and more convinced that she had made a mistake by leaving him. She realized that their connection was much deeper and more significant than she could have imagined. Judy hoped that Bill could forgive her and give them both a second chance. She understood that true happiness was with him, and that her search only led her to the realization of this simple but important truth. Bill resisted all of Judy's requests, although he felt desperately depressed. He knew his life was better with Judy, but he just couldn't accept her actions. 4 weeks later, Bill's resolve wavered. He was sure she was remorseful and couldn't imagine her doing it again. He also felt that he was not living a real life, but rather living in a perpetual fog, finding it difficult to concentrate on anything. At the end of the second month, Bill was surprised to see Judy. He was in a restaurant with colleagues when she walked in with David. Some of his colleagues knew Judy and looked up to Bill. He felt humiliated, but managed to casually approach their table. "Well, how strange it is. We were separated for only 2 months, and my wife left me. Thank you very much, I really need the extra humiliation. You left me and I was lonely. Oh, my fault again. You really are a real narcissist. It's always about you, isn't it? Judy raised her head as she continued her actions. Well, this is the reality of the situation that I need to demonstrate since you barely talked to me. If you don't let me come home, that means I'm dating David. David looked puzzled. Look, I don't know what's going on. I didn't expect you to be here, Bill, but I'm glad you know I'm dating Judy. Judy didn't hesitate. I never said you'd be seeing me. It's just a date with a friend. But if Bill rejects me, then it becomes reality. It's his choice. David realized that he was being set up to make Bill jealous. She promised me we would repeat our holiday fling, Bill, although I didn't know she was going to rub it in your face. Judy frowned at David and then continued, Bill knows this is a glimpse into the future. This is the last chance to preserve the wonderful life that we had and could have again so easily if he would bend just a little. Now you can charm your boss and explain that David is a good friend of ours and we were just stopping by to say hello, or I could tell him that David is my lover. No need, I'll tell him the truth instead. That's the concept you seem to be struggling with. David started talking. One more word from you, and you'll walk out through this window head first. Judy was upset by Bill's calm response. She had hoped that he would fly into a jealous rage and realize what he was throwing away, but now her actions seemed idiotic. She found the reservation in their shared email and decided to steal it, unaware that Bill's boss would be there. Bill left before she could think about what to do next. Now she felt stupid, sitting next to David, who was not amused. Despite this, David was so obsessed with Judy that he begged her to realize that her life with Bill was over and they could be a happy family. For the first time, she thought that this could become her new reality. Another month later, when Bill had no longer contacted him, Judy called him and told him that she was going to move in with David. I am surprised. I thought you were going to bug a whole bunch of lovers. In fact, he's going to have sex with me again tonight. Don't you miss it? Bill tried his best to laugh. No, I'm fine, thanks, and I wouldn't want to catch anything. If you say so, Bill, but it can all be yours again. You just have to say the word, and I'll be there to meet your every need. Bill ended the call and blocked her number. This bitch still knew how to get to him. He was still in pain, very much in pain. He filed for divorce the next morning. At least Judy made it an easier decision. Judy dragged out the divorce as best she could. Throughout the proceedings, she repeated that she would return home any time he wanted. When Bill pointed out that she was already living and having sex with another man, Judy denied it. I said it to get a reaction from you. Anything was better than being ignored. I think I got a reaction, but not the one I was hoping for. But understand, Bill, if you divorce me, that's exactly what will happen. I'll go straight to bed with David. Eventually, they exhausted all options, and the divorce went through with a simple division of assets in half. 6 months later, Judy, true to her word, married David. Bill was surprised, ignoring his hatred for this guy. He just didn't seem like her type and suspected she would overwhelm him. Bill still saw them at neighborhood barbecues, and despite the passage of time, it still hurt. But he was determined not to let them push him out of his circle of friends. Fortunately, Christine and the others supported his company, but it was very difficult to see Judy playing at being a happy family with another man. Judy sat down next to him at the end of another barbecue. She crossed her legs, letting her skirt ride up her hips. Bill resisted the urge to look. You can look, Bill. I'm wearing stockings, your favorite ones. I put them on for you. Actually, I prefer the ones with seams and a garter belt. Got it. I'll try better next time. You know I still miss you and love you, right? Really? What about David, you know? Your husband. What about him? I love him and I love children. But we both know that you were the only man for me. Wow, that's brutal, even for you. Judy shrugged. I had to make the best of a bad situation where you didn't forgive me and my attempts to make you jealous failed, and that's where I ended up. And by the way, he's a lot easier to control than you are. It seems I've missed your true nature all these years. Perhaps I've been fooling myself. Actually, I like to think of it as the fact that you made me a better person. When we were together, you balanced me, made me think before I acted, calmed me down. You are good to me. Yeah, maybe you're right, because you really acted like a bitch after we broke up. Bill, but all my actions were an attempt to get you to take me back. God, Bill, it was one mistake, a few minutes compared to all our years together, and you left. You ignored all the wonderful things we had and did together and focused on one mistake I made. That's not how I saw it. I know, much to my regret. Anyway, I have an offer that I hope you'll accept, now that we're not married and time has passed for things to work out. I'm afraid to imagine. Continue. Take me home and have sex. Bill almost spat out his beer. Oh my God, what about David? He's there. Oh, I'll tell him straight out what we're doing. He knows that I still love you, and he's damn scared of you. Moreover, when I told him that I hadn't given up hope of getting you back, he still asked me to marry him. Marry him. I agreed only for the sake of the children. One more thing, Bill. He knows that he has problems in bed. Bill looked at David, who was trying not to look in their direction. Perhaps this was exactly what Judy wanted and was unwise, but the idea of getting some kind of revenge on this guy was very appealing. He ultimately ruined Bill's happy life. Also, he hadn't had sex for almost a year. All those stories about mature seductresses ready to jump on middle-aged divorced men were complete nonsense. Come on, Bill, it's just sex and I owe you. I don't like thinking about you tense with no outlet. It will benefit both of us. Okay, you're right. Let's go and try your best. Go tell him that I'll get you back in the morning. Judy walked over to David and had a short, tough conversation before returning to Bill with a smile. We can go. What did you tell him? It's just that we both owe you and I have to take care of you. And don't expect me back today. They went back to their old house and straight into their old bedroom. It was a strange sensation, so familiar and at the same time very unusual. Judy looked around, remembering many happy moments. They had sex. I will always love you. And I will always hate you. Don't say that, Bill. It doesn't have to be that way. I know you still have feelings for me. If you can't love me, at least let me have a part of you. Judy laughed. The next morning, when Bill woke up, he smelled coffee and bacon. The scents were a blast from the past of his old life. He went down and found that Judy happily sings along to the radio while preparing breakfast. They exchanged pleasantries, offering coffee and bacon sandwiches, before Judy asked, "Can I stay for a little while? Maybe another night?" "No, that's not it. We're not back together. It was just sex, as the cheaters say. Anyway, shouldn't you go back to your imaginary husband?" It wasn't just sex, Bill, and you know it. It was sex between two people who still have a connection, even though one of them made the biggest mistake of her life. I know you tried to punish me, but I'm glad to do something for you. I love being so close to you. If I can't stay, can I see you again? Last night was surprisingly good. Bill shook his head. Okay, how about next Saturday, and I want you in suspenders, a short leather skirt, boots, and ready. Remember, it's just sex. Judy smiled brightly. I can handle this. Just let me know if you have any other requests. Make sure David knows why you're dressed like that and what you're going to do. You really hate him, don't you? I think he deserves it. He tore us apart. Actually, it was you who did it, not him. Do you still hate me, even after last night? David shrugged. Yeah, I hate you. I hate the fact that you ruined our life together. Then I will accept hatred. At least it shows you still care. It's so much better than being ignored, and I know I love you more than you hate me. The next day, Bill deliberately ran into David on the street when several neighbors were nearby. Hey, David, thanks for borrowing your wife last night. Just send her here when you can't cope. Looks like she hasn't had sex for a long time. Fuck off, Bill. You had your fun and got your revenge. Just leave it. Oh, I'm not leaving. She'll be back next week. It's all arranged. David looked like he was about to take a swing at Bill, but then seemed to change his mind and rushed back into his house. Bill thought he competed between the feeling that he had let himself down and the joy of getting an element of revenge on David. It reminded him of the Game of Thrones miniseries and how the so-called hero has many flaws, while the villains are rarely all bad. Life wasn't the same and white, it was mostly gray, and he didn't pretend to be perfect. He had no doubts about David, but if he continued with Judy, the children might get caught in the crossfire. He realized that this helped him ease his thirst for revenge, but as he reflected on his actions, it didn't seem right to him. He didn't like who he thought he was. Deep down, he hoped he was better than that. Bill called Judy the next day. She cheerfully replied, "Hey, handsome, you're calling about arrangements for next week. I just went to Ann Summers to buy some new underwear." "Actually, I don't think that's a good idea, Judy. I want to be better than this. I think we both need to move on. It's not healthy for either of us." "No, Bill, please don't say that. It shouldn't be like this. You should have forgiven me and stayed with me. If it makes it any easier, I forgive you." "It does not help. I'd rather accept your hatred and keep at least a part of you. Nothing will make this easier if I don't get you back somehow. My only bright spot is the children. I love them to bits." "I think so. You've always been a fantastic mother, and things worked out well for the two of us." "This is largely due to you. You're a great father, and unlike me, you didn't ruin a good marriage. My relationship with David was wrong from the start, and it all happened because of one stupid mistake." "You know, it was much more. It was numerous mistakes, lies, trust, disrespect, selfishness. Even now, you think it's my fault that I didn't forgive a small mistake. Take responsibility for your mistakes for once, admit it, and move on." I know. It will be easier if I try to prove that it's not all my fault, if I put some of the blame on you or David. You should try to make it work with David. If we don't stop, children will end up getting hurt." This comment affected Judy. She may have been reckless in her actions that affected her and David, but children were a different matter. "Okay, Bill, I give up. I will always love you, but now I will stop. Let me know if you ever need me, and I'll be there." After that, everything got better. Judy got along with David and was constantly busy with the children. Bill, Judy, and David became surprisingly polite when they bumped into each other. Bill wondered if David knew that he had rejected Judy's advances. He still felt pangs of regret whenever he saw Judy, especially when she was with the children, so strong was the resemblance to their former life together. Bill tried to date, but was unsuccessful. He hoped to find a new partner to share his life with, but this proved difficult. It was hard to even think about starting up with someone again. The dates he had were mostly awkward. He thought it might be him and not the women, although some seemed to want immediate marriage and others just wanted to have sex. It seemed temporary because time to build a relationship was limited, and those who wanted to do so simply weren't the right fit. He thought that if he put all his requirements into the partner application, knowing his luck, Judy's name would come up. The situation changes dramatically when David gets into a car accident while returning home from work. He was seriously injured when a truck hit him at an intersection. Judy was distraught to see David in the hospital in intensive care. Her friend Christina offered to help, and then she hired Bill to sort out some of the practicalities. Together, they freed up time for Judy to spend in the hospital. She was there a week later when David finally succumbed to his injuries. Before they could grieve, social services suddenly intervened and began asking questions about the children's well-being. Judy was in complete panic, desperately trying to explain that although she was not a blood relative, she was the only person who knew them and could care for them. The children realized what was happening and had to deal with the grief of losing their father and the very real prospect of being taken into care. She admitted to Christina and Bill that she was scared. The children were grieving the loss of both parents, and she was not coping with the crisis in the best way. Bill was always level-headed, gently offering support and advice and simply knowing what was right to do. "I'm so sorry, Bill. I know I have no right to ask, and you hated David, but I need help with the kids." Bill interrupted her. I would never take it out on the kids. It's terrible what they have to deal with, losing one parent. Terrible, and losing both is unimaginable. No child should have to go through what they had to. And so, the question was, can he leave? He didn't think so. He wasn't sure what he could do, but he offered to support the children in any way he could. Judy burst into tears. I'm having a hard time coping. If I can't convince social services that I'm the best option for them, they could be taken into care. I don't think there are any other relatives, but if there are, they might want custody. You are the best option for them. We just need to prove it. Remember that social services will focus on what is best for them and will take into account their wishes. We will involve lawyers if necessary, but for now try to work with them, respond to their concern, and show how much you love children. That's exactly what they did, the main issues being Judy's relationship with the children and the support system she and the children had. Bill supported Judy through all the assessments and endless questions about how she would cope with children alone at her age and the difficulties of caring for children who were not her own. No other relatives could be found, and there were no godparents. Fortunately, the wishes of the children themselves were taken into account, and this, together with the home and school environment they were accustomed to, won the case. The insurance payments meant there were no financial problems. Christine and Bill continued to help with practical matters and paperwork, taking the pressure off Judy as she focused on the children. Neighbors, seeing Bill's efforts, also began to help, especially with getting their children to school and making sure their children included them in all local activities. One night, Judy called Bill in a panic after hearing something in the garden. He arrived, checked the whole house, reassured the children, and even stayed overnight on the sofa so that they felt safe. The next day, he arranged for the home alarm and camera system to be installed. After a few months, Bill got the kids involved in a local youth soccer club, which was a great distraction that they immediately loved. He acted slowly, mainly at their request. A few months later, Judy and Bill stood on the sidelines watching Keith play football. He had just joined the under-11 team. Your extra coaching is paying off. He's playing great. It's all him. He has talent. I'm just giving some advice. Not like those over there. They turned around to see a group of parents yelling at their 10-year-old kids, shouting down the coaches. Bill frowned as one parent urged his child to get rid of the ball. Thank you for everything you've done over the past few months, Bill. You've become such a good friend to them. They both look up to you. I just take care of everything. Nonsense. They love you like crazy. They just behave like normal children, sometimes ignoring their mother. This is natural. This is good, considering everything they had to go through. In general, you underestimate yourself. You didn't think for a second after David's accident. You put these kids before you, took responsibility, and took care of them. I couldn't do it without you and Christine. You've helped so much, Bill, and it's not just the kids. You've also taken care of me when I had no right to ask. Bill shrugged awkwardly. You can be more, Bill. You're such a good father and husband. I've never stopped loving you. You could. Wish you could ever think about. Being more, I mean. I know that you won't be able to love me like you used to, but I will accept what you have to offer. You don't want to live like this, Judy. Give it time. Someone else will show up when you least expect it. There will never be anyone like you. Even a part of you is my best option. I never loved him. I'm so sorry. It wasn't fair to both of you. I've already forgiven you. It's weird, but I think it helped. People said it would help, but it sounded like bullshit. I think it really helped. Maybe you need to forgive yourself. Bill thought about his words. Did he really forgive Judy, or were they just words? He suspected that deep down he had not forgiven. What she did was simply wrong. It was not his pride and ego. I cannot forget. I know, so maybe let's not try to forget. Neither of us should forget it. Remembering it will make absolutely sure that I can never repeat these actions. So don't forget, but try to build that new as a family. We all need you. For the first time in a long time, Bill found himself thinking about all the good things Judy had done instead of the bad ones, realizing that he actually admired her. It was a feeling he remembered from their first dates. The way she cared for and protected children was impeccable. She changed, or perhaps returned to her old self, and was completely selfless towards the children. The way she cared for and protected them was truly amazing. Would she be able to focus on him as much as she did on the children, or would history repeat itself? Then there was the other side. She tried so hard to win him back and constantly insisted that she loved him, despite his repeated refusals. The endless what-ifs drove him crazy. Thinking about the past and speculating about the future didn't help. He tried to focus on the present. She's an amazing mother, they get along well, she somehow likes his bad habits, she's incredibly attractive without even trying, and he still loves her. Damn, this sudden realization hit him hard. He knew he had to be sure for the sake of the children. This was another question, whether he could be a good stepfather and whether he wanted to. He already knew the answers to these two questions. He enjoyed spending time with them and felt that they wanted and needed him. It was important for him to be their protector. Could he rely on Judy to do the same for him? The sweet young girl Amy was on stage receiving her degree as her parents looked on admiringly. Judy turned to Bill. "We made it. Do you think we deserve a rest?" "Yes, of course it will happen, and both Mark and Bethany are already preparing you to take care of your future grandchildren. I'm sure we can handle it." Judy was lost in thought about the years they had spent together, and a few tears rolled down her face. "Thank you for giving me a second chance, Bill. I've always loved you, and I still do." Bill leaned over and kissed her tenderly. "I love you too." Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think click to the next one. Click to the next one. Click to the next one.